Walt Whitman was born on May 31st, 1819 in West Hills, New York. He was the second of 9 children of Walt Whitman Sr. and Louisa Whitman. His family celebrated American values and patriotism. Whitman's family was rather poor, and as a result, his father pulled him out of school when he was only 11 years old. Whitman got a job as an apprentice at a Long Island newspaper, The Patriot, where he learned all about typesetting and got his first experience with journalism. Due to the Panic of 1837, Whitman was forced to move back with his family in Long Island, where he became a schoolteacher. After only a couple of years, Whitman felt that schoolteacher was not very rewarding, and he regained an interest in journalism. Whitman founded his own newspaper, The Long Islander, which was his first experience with editing. Whitman had many controversial and somewhat radical opinions. Whitman supported the idea of free soil, which means that he was opposed to the expansion of slavery into the western states. He was also heavily opposed to the idea of political parties, and often criticized the divisions within the federal government. Because of this, he was employed at 7 different newspapers over a period of only 4 years. In 1848, Whitman moved to New Orleans, where he became the editor of a newspaper called The Crescent. Starting in New Orleans, Whitman began to expand his poetic voice, which allowed him to express himself in a much deeper way than he had before. The first-hand experience with slavery and the slave trade also helped him to increase Whitman's empathy towards slaves. 3 months later, Whitman moved to Brooklyn, where he founded the newspaper The Brooklyn Freeman. The main focus of the paper was to combat the expansion of slavery into western states. Whitman began to move beyond journalism and found a greater interest in poetry and literature. In 1855, Whitman released the first edition of his famous poetry collection, Leaves of Grass, which discussed topics such as slavery, American unity, and sexuality. Although Whitman wanted to prevent the expansion of slavery into western states, he was also against the idea of total abolition of slavery, as he felt that it could tear apart the entire country. However, once the Civil War was underway, he urged southern states to abolish slavery. Whitman was greatly opposed to fighting between the North and South, but he still supported the Union Army. Whitman would travel to hospitals housing wounded Union soldiers. He would solicit donations from friends and strangers to help him pay for gifts for soldiers, such as paper, pencils, and food. Most importantly, Whitman heard the stories of injured soldiers. These stories helped influence his work Drum Taps, a poetry collection released in 1865 centered around the struggles of war. Whitman was able to expand and express his political opinions through poetry. Although Whitman was not particularly religious, a lot of his opinions were greatly influenced by his Quaker upbringing. For one, Whitman greatly supported the idea of a true democracy. He believed that a government should be run by the people, not the other way around. He was also greatly opposed to the idea of political parties. He said that, quote, "It behooves you to convey yourself implicitly to no party, nor submit blindly to their dictators, but steadily hold yourself judge and master over all of them."